Some loves arrive quietly. Ours didn't. It came like fire. I met Coulson on a Los Angeles film set during one of those endless nights when you're too tired to hide the truth in your eyes. The kind of night where the air conditioning hums too loud, where everyone's pretending they're not exhausted, where the coffee tastes like cardboard and regret. He was loud, chaotic, magnetic, irritating, and irresistible all at once. But behind Machine Gun Kelly, behind the tattoos and the bravado and the stage name that felt like armor, I saw something else. I saw a broken boy who looked too much like the broken girl I used to hide. I've spent most of my life being looked at, studied, analyzed, reduced to pieces that fit someone else's narrative. And I learned early how to survive that, how to build walls so high that even I forgot what was behind them. But that night, standing under those harsh set lights, watching him move through the room like he was trying to outrun something invisible, I felt a crack in my own armor, a recognition, like looking into a mirror I'd been avoiding for years. Our real first conversation happened off camera, sitting on the concrete of a studio parking lot at 2 a.m, passing a lighter back and forth, sharing silence instead of small talk. The air smelled like jasmine and gasoline, that specific Los Angeles cocktail that somehow feels both romantic and apocalyptic. He asked if I believed in destiny. I said no. I told him I believed in choices, in patterns, in the stories we tell ourselves to make sense of chaos. He smiled, not that performance smile, but something softer, sadder, and said he would prove me wrong. I should have known then, should have recognized the danger, but when you've been numb for long enough, even danger feels like waking up. We started meeting in secret, not out of shame, but because two wounded people protect what feels like refuge before they show it to the world. Late-night drives down Mulholland, windows down, music so loud it felt like prayer. Sitting on the floor of his studio in the valley while he worked on songs he'd never release. Melodies that were too honest, too raw. Walking through empty parking lots in Silver Lake at dawn when the city was still sleeping and we could pretend we were the only two people left alive. People saw headlines, drama, blood, theories. They invented versions of us that were easier to digest, simpler to judge. No one saw what kept us alive. The 3 a.m. confessions, the quiet tears, the way he used my real name when he needed me to come back to Earth, the way I could see through his chaos to the scared kid underneath, the way he never flinched when I showed him my ugliest truths. But the conflict came fast. Two intense hearts, two lives lived too loudly, and when the world found out, everything burned hotter. Judgment, pressure, endless commentary from people who'd never felt what we felt, never risked what we risked. We fought, pulled apart, tried to be rational adults who made sensible choices, but nothing about us was ever simple or still. This is the story of what happened when the fire got too hot, when we had to decide if we were going to burn together or walk away before we turned to ash. This is the truth they never told you, because they never asked. The first time I really saw Coulson, not MGK, not the performer, but him, was 3 weeks after we met. We had been texting constantly. Nothing romantic, nothing obvious, just conversations. The kind that start at midnight and end at dawn, where you lose track of time because you're too busy discovering someone. He told me about his childhood in Cleveland, about moving around constantly, about learning to make himself big and loud because quiet kids got forgotten. I told him about growing up in Tennessee, about feeling like an alien in my own skin, about Hollywood chewing me up before I was old enough to understand what I was giving away. It felt dangerous, that kind of honesty. Like handing someone a knife and hoping they wouldn't use it. He called me one night, 3 a.m., his voice rough and small. "Can you come over?" Not a command, a request, maybe even a plea. I drove to his place in the Hollywood Hills, taking Laurel Canyon because the main roads felt too exposed, too bright. His house was exactly what I expected. Records everywhere, half-finished art projects, the beautiful chaos of someone who creates to survive. He opened the door in sweatpants and a worn t-shirt, no makeup, no armor. He looked 16 years old. "I can't sleep," he said. "Neither can I." We sat on his balcony overlooking the city, the lights below us like fallen stars. He didn't try to impress me, didn't perform. He just sat there, smoking a cigarette, staring at nothing. After 20 minutes of silence, he finally spoke. "You ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" I pulled my knees to my chest. Every single day. Like you woke up one morning and suddenly you're this thing everyone has opinions about. And you can't remember when you stopped being a person and became a brand, a headline, a controversy. I turned to look at him. His profile in the dark, jaw tight, eyes distant. "Yeah, I know exactly what you mean." He flicked ash over the railing. "My daughter asked me last week if I was famous. She's 11. She knows I'm famous. She's seen the videos, the crowds. But she was asking something else. She was asking if I was just famous. If that's all I am." "What did you tell her?" I didn't know what to say. We were quiet again. Below us, Los Angeles hummed and buzzed, millions of people sleeping and dreaming and fighting and surviving. Up here, it felt like we'd escaped. Like we'd found a pocket of reality where we could just be. "He told me," he continued, voice softer now, "that he was her dad first, everything else second. But I don't know if I believe that anymore. I don't know if I know how to be anyone real." I reached over and took his hand. He looked at our fingers intertwined like he was seeing something impossible. "You're real right now," I said. He laughed, bitter, broken. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just really good at pretending." Over the next few weeks, we fell into a rhythm. He'd come to my place in Malibu, and we'd sit on the beach until sunrise, watching the Pacific crash against the shore. I'd drive to his studio sessions in North Hollywood, sitting in the corner while he worked, watching him transform into this electric, untouchable thing, and then watching him collapse afterward, exhausted, asking me if any of it mattered. We talked about everything. About his failed relationships, about my failed marriages, about the way fame warps your perception until you don't trust anything. Not your feelings, not other people, not even yourself. About the drugs he'd used to numb the noise, about the therapy I'd done to survive the scrutiny, about the versions of ourselves we'd killed trying to become who everyone else needed us to be. "I've been in love before," he told me one night, driving down PCH with the windows down and the ocean wind whipping through the car. Or I thought I was, but it always felt like I was playing a part, like I was being who they needed me to be.
"And with me?" He glanced at me, then back at the road. "With you, I don't know how to pretend." That scared me, because I'd built my entire life on pretending, on performance, on showing people exactly what they expected and hiding everything else. But with him, the mask kept slipping. One Saturday afternoon, we went to the farmer's market at the Grove. Incognito, sunglasses and baseball caps. Trying to be normal people, buying overpriced fruit and drinking cold brew coffee. A kid recognized him. Couldn't have been more than 14. Eyes wide, phone out. "Holy shit, you're Machine Gun Kelly!" Coulson's entire body tensed. I watched him transform in real time. Shoulders back, smile on, charm deployed. He took a photo, signed the kid's phone case, asked about his music taste. The perfect interaction. The perfect performance. When the kid left, his smile dropped like a stone. "You okay?" I asked. Yeah, fine. But his hand was shaking when he reached for his coffee. We left after that, drove to Griffith Park, hiked up to a quiet spot overlooking the city. We sat on a rock, legs dangling, not touching, but close enough to feel each other's heat. "I'm tired," he said finally. "I'm so fucking tired of being that guy." "Then don't be." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" He looked at me like I had asked something impossible. "Because that guy pays the bills. That guy keeps my daughter in private school. That guy is the reason anyone gives a shit about me." "I give a shit about you, not that guy. You." His eyes searched my face, looking for the lie. "You don't even know me." "Yes, I do. I see you. Every time you drop the act, every time you forget to perform, I see exactly who you are. And I'm not running." He pulled me close then, forehead against mine, breathing hard like he'd just finished a race. "You should run. I'm a fucking disaster." "Good. So am I." We kissed for the first time right there, overlooking a city that had chewed us both up and spit us out. A city that would never let us be normal, never let us just exist. It tasted like coffee and cigarettes and something else. Something like hope, like surrender. Like the moment before you jump off a cliff and either fly or fall. I chose to jump. We kept it quiet for 3 months. Not because we were ashamed, not because we were unsure, but because we both knew that the second the world found out, everything would change. The fragile, private thing we'd built would become public property. Analyzed, dissected, turned into entertainment. We stole time like thieves. Late-night drives through Topanga Canyon, windows down, screaming along to old punk songs, sneaking into dive bars in Echo Park where no one cared who we were, ordering Thai food at 2 a.m. and eating it on my kitchen floor, talking about past lives and parallel universes and all the versions of ourselves we'd left behind. He wrote songs about me that no one would hear. I wrote poems about him that I'd never show anyone. We existed in this beautiful, fragile bubble, and we both knew it couldn't last. The first photo leaked on a Tuesday. Someone with a long lens caught us at Soho House, sitting close, my hand in his hair, his lips near my ear, the body language unmistakable. Within hours, it was everywhere. Twitter exploded, Instagram went insane. TMZ ran it as breaking news. Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, Hollywood's most unexpected romance. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. My publicist, my manager, my lawyer, everyone had opinions, strategies, damage control plans. I turned it off and drove to Colson's place, breaking every speed limit between Malibu and the hills. He opened the door before I knocked. "You saw." "Yeah." "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For not being more careful. For not—" I kissed him. Hard. Desperate. "I don't care. Let him talk." But we both knew it was a lie. We both cared. Not about the attention. We'd lived with that our whole lives. But about losing the privacy, the intimacy, the ability to just exist without commentary. The first few weeks were brutal. People who'd never met either of us had detailed opinions about our relationship. Piece thinks were written. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to analyzing our red flags. My exes were contacted for comment. His exes were contacted for comment. Timelines were created, conspiracy theories invented, psychological diagnoses offered by people who'd never studied psychology. We tried to ignore it, tried to live our lives, but it was everywhere. In every restaurant, every gas station, every coffee shop, people staring, whispering, filming. The bubble had popped, and now we were exposed. The fights started small. He'd get defensive when I asked him to be more careful with paparazzi. I'd get angry when he'd post about us without asking first. He'd say I was controlling. I'd say he was reckless. We'd both apologize, make up,
promised to do better. But the pressure kept building. His ex started doing interviews. My ex started posting cryptic shit on Instagram. People we'd never met had opinions about whether we were good for each other. Therapists on TikTok analyzed our body language. Astrologers predicted our breakup date. One night, after a particularly brutal day of trending on Twitter for something I didn't even say, I lost it. I can't do this, I told him. We were in his car, parked outside a studio in Burbank, fighting about whether to go to an industry party. I can't live my life like this anymore. Like what? Like I'm a character in someone else's story. Like every choice I make is up for debate. Like I'm not allowed to just be. So what are you saying? I don't know. I pressed my palms against my eyes, trying to hold back tears. I spent so long trying to become a person again, trying to find myself after everything. And now I feel like I'm disappearing again. But this time I'm disappearing into us, into what everyone thinks we are. He was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was small. Do you regret it? Us? No, God, no. But I'm scared. I'm scared we're going to lose each other trying to prove something to people who don't even matter. He reached for my hand. Then let's stop trying to prove anything. Let's just exist. Fuck everyone else. I wanted to believe him, wanted to believe it could be that simple, but I'd been in this game too long. I knew how it ended. The breaking point came 2 months later. We'd been fighting more, small things that weren't really small, about boundaries, about privacy, about how much of ourselves we owed the world. The constant scrutiny was eroding something essential between us. We were becoming defensive, guarded, paranoid. One night, after a particularly vicious article accusing me of manipulating him, as if a grown man couldn't make his own choices, I drove to his place ready to end it, ready to say that loving each other wasn't enough if we couldn't protect what we'd built, that maybe some things were too precious to survive in public. He was recording in his studio, and I stood outside the door listening. It was a new song. Raw. Devastating. About losing something before you fully found it. About loving someone so much it terrifies you. About choosing love even when logic says run. When the song ended, I walked in. He looked up, saw my face, knew exactly why I'd come. Don't, he said. Coulson, please, just don't. Not yet. He played the song again. This time I heard the lyrics clearly. Every word was about me, about us, about fighting for something real in a world built on performance, about two broken people trying to build something whole. I cried, properly cried, for the first time in months, and he held me while the song played on repeat, both of us knowing we were at a crossroads, both of us too scared to choose. I don't know how to do this, I whispered against his chest. Neither do I. Then maybe we can figure it out together. He pulled back to look at me, hands cupping my face. I'm not giving up on you, on us, even if everyone says we're crazy, even if it's hard, especially because it's hard. Why? Because you're the first real thing I've felt in years, and I'm not ready to go back to pretending. Enjoying the story? Hit the like button, subscribe, drop your comment, and turn on the notifications. Let's keep going.
3 weeks after that conversation, I was done. Not with him, with everything. With the constant noise, the endless commentary, the feeling that I was performing, even in my most private moments. We'd had another fight. Something stupid about a paparazzi photo that made us look like we were arguing. We weren't. And the 1,000 hot takes that followed. I told him I needed space. Turned off my phone. Drove up to Laurel Canyon to a house I'd been renting as a refuge, a place no one knew about. Sat on the floor in the dark and tried to remember who I was before all of this. Before the fame, before the scrutiny, before I learned to build walls so high I couldn't see over them anymore. I'd spent so long being looked at, being analyzed, being reduced to parts that fit someone else's narrative. The sexy one, the difficult one, the crazy one. And just when I thought I'd found someone who saw me, the actual person underneath all the armor, the world had turned even that into a spectacle. I was exhausted. Bone deep, soul level exhausted. I don't know how long I sat there. Hours, maybe? Long enough for the sun to set completely, for the canyon to fill with the sounds of crickets and distant traffic. I wasn't crying. Wasn't feeling anything, really. Just empty. Then I heard a car pull up. Footsteps on the gravel. The door opening. Coulson. He didn't knock, didn't call out. He just walked through the house like he'd been there 1,000 times, following some instinct until he found me sitting in the dark living room, back against the wall, knees pulled to my chest. He didn't say anything, didn't ask if I was okay, or tell me everything would be fine, or offer any of the useless platitudes people give when they don't know what else to do. He just sat down next to me, shoulder touching mine, and breathed. We stayed like that for a long time. Two people in the dark, breathing in sync, existing without words. Finally, he spoke. I'm scared. Of what? That we're going to break. That the world's going to break us. That I'm going to wake up one day and you'll be gone and I'll have to go back to pretending I'm fine. I turned to look at him. Even in the darkness, I could see the fear in his eyes, the vulnerability he usually hid behind bravado and performance. I'm scared too. I'm scared that loving you means losing myself, that I've spent so long trying to become a person again, and now I'm going to disappear into us, into what everyone thinks we should be. Then don't. It's not that simple. Why not? He shifted to face me fully. Why can't it be simple? Why can't we just say, fuck everyone, and choose each other anyway? Because it's not just about choosing Coulson. It's about surviving what comes after. And I don't know if I'm strong enough for that. I don't know if we're strong enough for that. He was quiet for a moment, and I could see him processing, thinking, trying to find the right words. He said finally, you know what I realized? All my life I've been running. From my childhood, from my trauma, from anything that felt too real or too scary. I built this persona, Machine Gun Kelly, the wild one, the fearless one, because it was easier than being me, being Coulson, being the scared kid who just wanted someone to see me. And then I met you. And for the first time, I couldn't run, didn't want to run, because you saw through all the bullshit. You saw the scared kid and you didn't flinch. You didn't try to fix me or change me or turn me into someone safer. You just saw me. And that was terrifying, but it was also the most real thing I've ever felt. My eyes filled with tears. I'm not perfect, Coulson. I'm so fucked up. I have so much damage, so many walls, so many broken pieces. I know. And I love you anyway. Not despite the broken pieces. Because of them. Because you're real. Because when I'm with you, I don't have to pretend. He took my hands in his. I don't care what anyone says about us. I don't care if they think we're too intense or too messy or too whatever. I'd rather be intensely, messily, imperfectly in love with you than perfectly alone. And if the world doesn't understand that, fuck the world. I laughed through tears. You make it sound so simple, maybe it is. Maybe we just keep making it complicated because we're scared, because it's easier to sabotage something real than to risk losing it. He was right. I knew he was right. We'd both spent so long protecting ourselves, building armor, keeping people at a distance. And the moment we'd found something real, something that actually mattered, our first instinct was to destroy it before it could destroy us. "I don't want to lose you," I whispered. "Then don't. Choose me. Choose us, not the version everyone else sees, but the real thing, the messy, complicated, beautiful, fucked up thing we actually have." I looked at him, really looked at him, past the tattoos, past the persona, past everything the world saw, and I saw the same thing I'd seen that first night in the parking lot. A broken boy who looked too much like the broken girl I used to hide. But we weren't broken anymore. Or maybe we were, but we were broken together. And somehow, that made us whole. I kissed him then. Soft at first, then deeper, like I was trying to pour everything I couldn't say into that moment. Every fear, every hope, every complicated feeling I'd been holding on to. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "So we're doing this?" "Yeah, we're doing this. Even though it's going to be hard?" "Especially because it's hard." He smiled, a real smile, not the performance version. "Okay then, you and me against the world." You and me against the world. We stayed in that house for 2 more days. No phones, no internet, no world. Just us, existing in the quiet, remembering why we'd fallen in love in the first place. We cooked meals that were probably terrible. Neither of us could really cook. We stayed up all night talking about everything and nothing. We made love slowly, carefully, like we were learning each other's bodies for the first time. And on the second night, lying in bed with the canyon wind coming through the open windows, he said something that changed everything. "You know what the difference is between us and everyone else?" "What?" "They're trying to build something perfect, something that looks good on Instagram, something that fits the narrative. But we're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to be real." I turned to face him in the darkness. "And you think that's enough?" "I think it's everything." People ask me all the time if it's worth it. Loving someone so publicly, choosing someone the world doesn't understand, fighting to protect something the world treats as entertainment. I always tell them the same thing. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to make it. I don't know if love is enough. I don't know if we're strong enough to survive the constant scrutiny, the endless opinions, the pressure of living our lives in public. But I know this. I'd rather be here, in the mess, in the uncertainty, in the beautiful chaos of loving someone who sees me, than safe and numb and alone. Because that's what I learned from Coulson. That's what he taught me in Laurel Canyon. Sitting in the dark, breathing together, choosing each other despite everything. Love isn't about being perfect. It's not about looking good or fitting some narrative or proving something to people who will never understand anyway. Love is about showing up, about seeing someone fully, the light and the dark, the beauty and the broken parts, and choosing them anyway. For so long, I thought love meant losing myself, becoming smaller to make someone else comfortable, hiding my intensity, my complexity, my mess. Every relationship I'd been in had asked me to be less loud, less difficult, less me. But with Coulson, I learned something different. I learned that real love doesn't ask you to shrink. It asks you to expand, to be more yourself, not less, to show up fully, even when it's scary, especially when it's scary. The world will keep watching, keep analyzing, keep having opinions about whether we're good for each other, whether we'll last, whether we're too intense or too damaged or whatever. And honestly, let them, because they're not living our lives. They're not in our quiet moments, our vulnerable conversations, our 3 a.m. confessions. They don't know what we've survived, what we've built, what we choose every single day. Sometimes I drive through Los Angeles at night, down Sunset, through the hills, along PCH, and I think about all the versions of myself I've left behind. The girl who learned to perform to survive. The woman who built walls so high, she forgot what was on the other side. The person who thought love meant sacrifice instead of expansion. And I'm grateful to all of them because they led me here, to this complicated, messy, beautiful thing, to someone who sees me and doesn't run, to a love that asks me to be more, not less. Is it perfect? No. Do we fight? Yes. Are there days when the pressure feels like too much? When I want to run? When the old patterns threaten to pull us apart? Absolutely. But there's this moment that happens sometimes when we're driving through the city at night, windows down, music playing, and he reaches for my hand. And in that moment, everything is simple. Everything makes sense. We're not celebrities, not brands, not headlines. Just two people choosing each other in a world that makes it very hard to do so. My therapist once told me that the most radical thing you can do in this world is choose love. Not the Instagram version, not the fairy tale, but the real thing. Messy and complicated and requiring daily choice. I didn't understand what she meant then, but I do now. Because loving Coulson isn't easy. It requires showing up, even when I'm scared. It requires being vulnerable, even when vulnerability feels like weakness. It requires choosing us, even when the world offers 1,000 reasons to walk away. But it's also taught me something essential. I am not defined by what the world sees. I am not the headlines, the hot takes, the narratives people create. I am the quiet moments, the 3 a.m. conversations, the choice I make every single day to be real, even when performance would be easier. And maybe that's the truth they never tell you about love. It's not about finding someone who completes you. It's about finding someone who sees you completely and choosing to see them back. It's about being brave enough to show up with your whole, messy, complicated self. It's about building something real in a world built on illusion. We don't know what the future holds. Maybe we'll make it. Maybe we won't. Maybe the pressure will become too much. Maybe the world will win. Or maybe we'll surprise everyone, including ourselves. But right now, in this moment, we're choosing each other. And that's enough. Because I've learned something that no one can take away from me. I am not afraid of my own intensity anymore. I am not afraid of being too much, too messy, too complicated. I am not afraid of taking up space, of being seen, of loving loudly. And I have Coulson to thank for that, for showing me that the parts of myself I thought I had to hide are actually the parts worth celebrating. That my darkness doesn't make me less lovable, it makes me human. That two broken people can build something beautiful if they're brave enough to try. So to everyone watching, analyzing, having opinions, thank you for your concern, your theories, your hot takes. But we're good. We're more than good. We're real. And in a world built on performance, that's the most radical thing we can be. This isn't a fairy tale. It's two intense souls trying to find peace inside each other, even when we're still learning how to handle our own fire. People will never understand. They'll invent easier versions.
But the truth is simple. He didn't run from my darkness, and I didn't run from his. And sometimes that's all love needs to be.
If you watched until here, thank you. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love reading your messages. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you never miss another story like this. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. Any amount helps a lot. Link in the pinned comment.